Good evening, the people of Chuempara. Good evening, the people of Rwansha. Good evening, the people of Lusaka. Good evening, the people of Shesheke. Good evening, the people of Livingstone. And good evening, the Bakwetu family. We were scheduled to start our program at 22 hours, but due to other technical problems, we had to start a little bit late. So this is more like a late night show for Friday and a late night show for us to discuss the matter that we currently have. And the thing which we are going to discuss is about the shortages of drugs in the health facilities. We have heard and we have seen some of our friends have even gone to the hospitals, but they can't find the medication. So that's the matter that I want to address here with you, so that at least you know where the problem is and why we don't have the medication. Well, the government has done its part by making sure that they release the funds to procure these medications for health facilities. As things are, the government released 400 million kwacha for the procurement of drugs. So this is what I want us to discuss, and this is what I want us to update each other. So let me start from there. In August 2021, in August 2021, we changed the government. The PF government left, then the UPND government came in. Then by August, September, the president has to choose some ministers, and among the first ministers the president has to pick was the minister for health, who was the Silver Masevoshi. He picked her among the first crops. Then from there, we had the minister visiting different health facilities, that is in Lusaka first, and also visiting or chatting with different directors at our institution there, which is in Ministry of Health headquarters. From there, when the minister was meeting the directors, we were informed that the government is owing pharmaceutical suppliers about 2.2 billion kwacha in terms of drugs, and that came about when the Ministry of Health, that is the Director for Clinical Care, Dr. Makupe, mentioned and told the minister to say, this is what we are owing the pharmaceutical suppliers. From that, a month later, the Ministry of Finance, or the Minister of Finance, Honorable Stumbekom Sokotwani, raised some money, and the Ministry of Health was given 1 billion kwacha to pay or liquidate some of the debt it owes the suppliers of drugs, so that we can start maybe somewhere. Then the Minister for Health then should be by October. She had a meeting with the suppliers of the medications. All these things which I'm giving you are things that really transpired and that happened. I'm just reminding you. I'm just reminding you on what really transpired. In somewhere October, she had the meeting with the pharmaceutical suppliers, and she explained to them to say, we have been given 1 billion by the Treasury from the Ministry of Finance to handle the issues of drugs. So now from this, actually, some weeks before, I pronounced or I said that the procurement of drugs have moved now from Ministry of Health headquarters, from MOH to now ZAMMSA. And starting from there, we don't want ZAMMSA, which is medical stores, to have any problem with them inheriting the debts from the pharmaceutical suppliers. So what we are going to do now is we are going to portion this money the way it's supposed to be done. One, we are going to pay some money. We are going to pay some money to the pharmaceutical suppliers. And in that situation, it was agreed upon that about 500 to 600 million kwacha will be paid to the pharmaceutical suppliers. Then the remaining about 400 to 500 will go to the procurement of medications that are needed by the hospitals. And in this situation, the stakeholders, the pharmaceutical suppliers, agreed, and the ministry started auditing all the supplies and the people supplied so that they don't pay ghost suppliers or people supplied air. But that's a story for another day. Then ZAMMSA was given about 400 million to start its business of procuring the drugs. So when we check very well, that was now we entered the issues of November. ZAMMSA advertised for, they called it emergency order to supply the medical or to supply the drugs. First thing, when the tender was floated, should be on a Friday, and I think the same Friday I came here on TV Bakwetu, and I was also should be on Prime TV, if I'm not mistaken, yes. And I talked about the flaws or the problem that I saw in the tender. To start with, the moment the tender came out as an emergency order, before I could even read anything, for me, I mentioned to say there is something wrong here. There is something that we need to look into, and what we need to check, let's check in the details of this tender. And definitely, I started checking in the details of the tender. After getting the tender document, then I started checking on the details of the tender, and for sure, I found the problems. What problems was in the tender? One, the tender was a open national bidding tender. That was one. That was the tender. Then once it was named like that, then they gave out the conditions. And in the conditions which was there, first they said, we need only those who have market authorizations for the drugs, which I contended, and I said that's not the way it's supposed to be done. And in this way, you are going to disadvantage the Zambian people or the Zambian entrepreneurs who want to participate in the tender for these medications. Two, there was issues of X-stock. So there was issues of the X-stock. Again, there I raised an issue to say, look, there is no one or there is no pharmaceutical company that can have 100 or 300,000 bottles of amoxil just seated, waiting for the time the tender will be made available. There's no one who do that. It's not that thing itself. It is not business healthy, and it's not business feasible. When you talk about in terms of business, you can't have the stock waiting for when the tender will be given to you. What if the tender will be given to you after 10 years? What will happen to your stock? Your stock will go to waste. You lose money. So that's the second thing which I said. That should not be the matter and should not be the case. 2, there was an issue again of who should participate, the period of participating in the tender. It was also a big issue there. Then 3, there was an issue of ZAMMSA trying to check the licenses, or not on the licenses, to go check the facilities, the facilities for the places where these tenders or these pharmaceutical companies are, which is not the work of ZAMMSA. That is the work of ZAMMA. When ZAMMA comes to do inspection for you and they are certified to say, no, this can be a wholesaler, we can issue the license, they issue a license, that's fine. ZAMMSA, the job of ZAMMSA is to see that, oh, these guys, they have a pharmaceutical license from ZAMMSA, from ZAMMA, then they can give you the tender. Those are the things that we spotted, which I spotted when I appeared here. Then, instead of that, the thing just went on. Then, on the tender went on, there was an evaluation and all that. Then, on the 27th of December, the tenders, the best evaluators list was released by ZAMMSA. And for sure, all those concerns and problems that I spotted are the problem that started. Now, in that, when ZAMMSA produced that, ZAMMSA first, in the way they didn't follow the law. They didn't follow the Zambia Public Procurement Act of 2020 in the way they gave out the tenders. When all the thing came out, they didn't follow the law. The citizen or the local or the citizen companies, they took it upon themselves and they protested. And apart from that, they also petitioned the minister over the way ZAMMSA did in terms of awarding the contracts. First, to start with, when you check the ZPPA Act of, should be number 8 of 2020, you discover that when a tender is an open national bidding, first it needs to go to the citizen-owned companies. Then the citizen-owned companies, the citizen-owned company, they do bid. If they cannot supply the medication or whatever, if they can fail to do, then it goes to the local suppliers. These local suppliers are suppliers who are people or companies that are outside, but they have the companies in Zambia. Those are called local suppliers. Then if they cannot do that, then they go to the international suppliers. But besides that, the way the 2020 ZPPA Act is, if the citizen suppliers fails, it goes to the local suppliers, or the local suppliers again, they need to work with the citizen suppliers. Why was the act made in this way? Because it was found that the citizen-owned company were failing to have the contracts because of capacity in terms of financial for them to have these contracts. So the act was made in such a way that it promotes the citizens of Zambia to have these contracts and for them to make something from the contracts by them working with the local suppliers. Now, ZAMMSA did that, but ZAMMSA didn't do that. What did they do? They did the citizen and local suppliers giving them the contracts by them justifying that we did this by seeking a no objection to the we seek a no objection order to the Zambia Public Procurement Agency. And in this situation, what the law talks about, when you're given a thing of authority of no objection, Zambia procurement, Zambia Public Procurement Agency, ZPPA, should first be given reasons, and the reason which for themselves they get satisfied to say, yes, we can give a no objection to whatever they want to go to forego about following the law. But in this situation, the reason that ZAMMSA gave was, first, they gave the reason to say we are making the hospitals have no drugs, which again, that's a vague reason, because one, the drugs that were there to start with, some were not emergency medicines. As you know very well, emergency medicine will only fall to those essential medicines that we use on a day-to-day basis. And moreover, when procuring the drugs, we do what is called quantification. We quantify the medication on time. And they were supposed to do, like in the quantification for 2022 was done in somewhere September, October. That's when the quantification was done. So starting from January 2022, actually, after the quantification, ZAMMSA was supposed to offload the tenders for people to supply drugs for the first quarter of 2022 in 2021. Then as they do that, they give the tenders. Come January, the suppliers of this medication, they do supply according to the way they were supposed, according to the way the tenders were given, but they didn't do that. So they wanted to make it as an emergency order so that they go on with their corrupt activities. I hope we are together. So on the 27th of December, the best bidders were given to say these are the best bidders. And these bidders, whom they did or whom they gave, they didn't follow these best evaluators. They gave everyone that following the law. Now these citizen owned company, they complained first to ZAMMSA. Then that is when ZAMMSA explained to say, no, actually what we did is we seek your no objection order to ZPPA, and in the no objection order we stated that the local or the citizen companies, they have no capacity. But again, in that way, ZAMMSA lied, because one, they didn't ask the citizen-owned companies to say if they can fail to bring all the medication they requested to ZAMMSA. So one, they lied to ZPPA. And when they responded in that, should be on the 27th, the thing was this, and the citizen-owned company, after the petition to the ministry, they also took their petition to ZAMMSA. And on the 3rd of January, ZAMMSA answered with research. So according to the law, once ZAMMSA respond in that, then they need to appeal or to petition or to appeal against ZAMMSA's decision now to ZPPA. And this citizen-owned company, they appealed to ZPPA over the decision of no objection, and they requested for the tender to be cancelled because it didn't follow what the law speaks about. And these are simple and straightforward matters that people at ZAMMSA were supposed to follow. And moreover, even ZPPA here, they were wrong in giving ZAMMSA the no objection order to go on without to give a no objection, whatever they call it, to the tender which was given. Then these companies, they again appealed or petitioned ZPPA. And according to the law, it clearly states that within 10 working days, ZPPA is supposed to institute an investigation upon the recipient of that petition on how the contract was done. But when we heard about what is happening, ZPPA, 10 days elapsed. And now what happened? They responded actually after 10 days, which is on the 11th day, if I'm not mistaken. That's what I've heard or whatever, but I've not yet seen actually ZPPA response, and I'm waiting to hear from ZPPA what they have. But from the other hand, that tender, because of this petition that has happened, and because of ZAMMSA not following the law, the tender again was stopped by ZPPA due to the petition by the citizen-owned companies. So now, when you check very well, we should know that currently we have, yes, shortages of drugs in facilities. And what I've explained is the thing that has caused the shortages of medication in the hospitals. The government has done its part. Go to the ZAMMSA account. You'll find that they have 400 million kwacha for the procurement of drugs on a cash basis to all the suppliers. But what really happens? In the previous administration, when such tenders do happen, these people, they'll just go on. As you know very well, the people are doing in the procurement at the Ministry of Health headquarters. They have been moved. They have gone now to where? To ZAMMSA. That's where they are doing all the wrong things there. So when those things of tenders do happen, they will not bother to follow the law according, because they had the support from the powers that be by then. So they'll just apply for a no objection kind of authority from ZPPA. Then ZPPA will grant no objection and it will go and die just a natural death. But this time now, because we are vigilant and we are observing and we are watching, we had to question to say, look, this is what the law talks about, but you have not followed the law according. So what was in their mind was to worry again. As we are hearing now, what I'm hearing actually, that I've been told that some Indians are even going to ZAMMSA to follow them up to say, we want the money we paid you for you to give us the contract which we are failing to sign. Then the other thing that we are hearing is they went to the places to talk about X-stock. There was an issue of X-stock. X-stock are these stocks that are variable at any given time at a facility. So some facilities or some companies that the people who are evaluating, they said they have X-stock. They were lying to ZAMMSA to say they have X-stock, and we have come to discover that most of the companies which indicated that they have X-stock, actually, they don't even have that X-stock. That's another thing. So that itself causes it's now corruption. How can you say that there is X-stock, we have X-stock? Well, on the other hand, that's not true, you don't have X-stock. So that brings now question to the people again at the ZAMMSA there. As you know very well, the Director General for ZAMMSA is the one who's mandated to form what is called a committee. There is what we call procurement committee and the evaluators committee. And in this committee, the Director General need to put their own people whom they know can execute the job. And in this situation, the Director General for ZAMMSA had to put incompetent people to be evaluators of these tenders or these suppliers. Where a supplier comes and lies to say they have X-stock, well, 2 months down the line, you discover that they lied and they don't have the X-stock. So that's one of the reasons. One, those who said they have X-stock, they don't have X-stock. That's not true. Two, we have also heard that these are some of the rumors. And I'm not saying, but this is what we are hearing, to say there are some Indians who are going to see these ZAMMSA officials to ask them why they cannot sign the tenders or they cannot sign the contracts where they paid the money and they are requesting the money back to the money to be given to them. Now, all this is because of the corrupt activities. And this corruption I've been talking about in the pharmaceutical sector. And I've been saying to say, we have had a lot of corruption in the pharmaceutical sector that has disadvantaged the genuine suppliers of these pharmaceutical drugs. And this, not only that, it has also disadvantaged the genuine pharmacist who wants to do the work according as a pharmacist. They do fail to work. Why? Because they find that there is too much corruption to some of the individuals who are also pharmacists for that matter, in the way they execute and do activities. Remember last time I was saying to say, I have a big challenge with my colleagues in terms of integrity levels. Their integrity levels is very, very low. Provided they see money, then they don't care. They will be able to do anything. No wonder they ended up giving counterfeit medicines, fake drugs to the Zambian people, where themselves they are gatekeepers of these drugs. And they are gatekeepers who need to see that the drugs that are given are all not counterfeit drugs, but they are all well. No wonder you find that you'll find a pharmacist who's well trained will give Benin with codeine to a grade 11 pupil. They sell them. Well, they know very well that this grade 11 pupil or these pupils going there, they are going there to abuse this medication. No wonder you discover or find that these pharmacists, you'll find them hanging their licenses in the outlet they have not even never stepped into. So this is where the big problem is with most of my colleagues, where you hang your license and you don't even go there to check what is happening there. You find someone is giving diazepam to a child who's a school-going child. They give Aten to the people they know that these people are going to abuse. These are some of the reasons. No wonder some of us, you not find that you find that we are not popular among some of these people because we expose the wrong things that are not so supposed to be done. And we question the integrity levels of even those people who claim to be the angels in the profession. We ask them to say, look, what is your integrity levels and what is your standing? If you can do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and you can add for the country to be producing the junks of the young people by giving Benmouth codeine to the people you know very well that they are going to abuse, by giving diazepam to the people you know very well that they are abusing, by giving Aten to school-going children where you know very well that these children are going to abuse and creating junks. So that's where the issue comes in. So now coming back to our issue of the tender, when I mentioned to say that it's not that I want or I'm demeaning the plumbers. No. No wonder I say that the problem which I've seen at ZAMMSA, it is the person who's aiding ZAMMSA is not qualified to do the correct thing that's supposed to be done. It's like you take me as a pharmacist. You take me and give me to say, operate on a patient. I think that will be very difficult for me, even if I may be a good pharmacist, but the fact that I cannot operate on a patient and I'm not competent enough for me to carry on an operation should tell you to say I cannot handle some of these things. Or you take me as a pharmacist, then you take me to go drive or to go fly a plane. I'm not a pilot, I'm a pharmacist. I don't know about the issues of plane. The fact that I was working at the airport does not mean that I can fly the plane competently. No. Or the fact that I was serving food in the plane or sitting next to the driver or to the pilot when flying the plane does not give me the mandate to say that I can also drive or I can also fly that plane. No, it doesn't occur like that. You need a competent person. In case of emergence, they are able to do their mathematics very well. And in this situation, when you check, ask ZAMMSA, who are the people in the evaluation committee? The same evaluation committee that the procurement committee come to endorse. You discover that those are incompetent people who know nothing about the things that happens in the pharmaceutical industry. As you know very well, pharmaceutical industry is not an industry that you come day to day to say, I know things better. No. It is sophisticated, complicated industry that everyone wants to get involved because there is a lot of money. As a result, people do a lot of wrong things. As you know very well, you will not be able to tell a wrong and a correct medicine just by the sight. You need to be well trained for you to say that this is wrong, this is right. But as a citizen, it's not possible to just say. You just say, I want Coartem, we'll give you whatever, say, oh, this is Coartem. No, I want Panadol, oh, we'll give you what is that, say, oh, this is Panadol. I want Amoxil, we'll give you what is that to say, oh, this is Amoxil. But once you start taking this medication, you discover that you are not getting better, but the condition is getting worse. So that now becomes or brings out a big problem actually concerning the issues of pharmaceuticals. So when you check, the evaluation committee is a very wrong committee, and it was instituted by a wrong person in the name of the acting director of ZAMMSA. You can't get a plumber to be the acting director of a very sensitive institution like ZAMMSA that deals with the health of the members of the public. You can't do that. And moreover, this is where now we need different professionals to be in different institutions. Then in ZPPA, for them to offer an issue of no objection, they are supposed to ask the professionals who are involved in this thing to say, you pharmacists, can you guide? And you need not to ask any pharmacist. I've told you to say, these people, in terms of integrity, they are very low. Don't forget that these are the people supported and B. These are the people who gave you fake drugs. So you need again to be very much careful when choosing to say who's supposed to be or whom should we consult to these matters that are very sensitive and that deals on the health or the well-being of the people. And in this situation, ZPP was supposed to consult to say, ZAMMSA has applied for no objection, stating that the drugs they need are emergency drugs. For me, I say again to say the tender was not supposed to be an emergency tender. The moment it came as an emergency tender, I came here and I mentioned to say they want to do something wrong. And today we are hearing that Indians are going at ZAMMSA to claim for the money they paid for them to be given the tenders. We are hearing those things. Why are we hearing this? Because people used to say things of no objection and they give the tenders and they get the money and it goes like that in a corrupt way. That's what used to happen in the previous administration. But with the new administration, with the UPND administration, and with the administration that is listening to some of us who are voicing out on these matters, they are questioning and they also say, no, there's something wrong. And for sure, for the contracts which were given on the 27th of December, that's when the list for bidders or best bidders were released. Today's 28th of January. They have not been signed. Why the contracts have not been signed? Because of the same reason of corruption and illegality that has been done by ZAMMA. And this situation, we need to thank the ministry and the permanent secretaries at the Ministry of Health to be very much alert in the way they are doing these things. And also we need to also thank the Attorney General for them to also adhere in the way the contracts have been, because if the contracts were signed, we would have found ourselves in a serious battle or going to the courts, and definitely would have lost this matter to the citizen suppliers. We would have lost this matter. And these people at ZPPA, these people at ZAMMSA, they would have not paid, but as the citizens, as the taxpayers, would have been the one who would have paid the money, who would have lost the money by these technocrats who have been seen to be working against the government, who have seen to work against the government, doing the wrong thing, and they would have made us to lose a lot of money as compared to the way things are supposed to be done. Can this be blamed on the government? The answer is no. The government has already released 400 million and is still staying. The hospitals have no drugs. Why the hospitals have no drugs? Because civil servants who are supposed to be technocrats, and if you are called a technocrat, it means that you are able to read and understand. But these people, they don't want to read and understand the way things are supposed to be done. And what is happening? They went and did things which are in their heads, because they want to eat something from these suppliers, because they want to get corruption money from the suppliers so that they can give the contract, and now they say it is the way it's supposed to be done. So in this situation, it will be very difficult, because some of us will continue speaking out and will continue defending the way the Zambian people are supposed to benefit from the pharmaceutical industry. Because just like I keep saying, I was educated by the poor Zambian people, and the only thing that I have is my education to offer to them, and making sure that I should not compromise in my duty as a pharmacist to provide quality pharmaceutical care at all times. So Mary, she's asking to say ZAMMSA, ZAMRA, and MOH as confusion now. Yeah, here in this situation, ZAMRA is nowhere near actually. The issue that we have currently is ZAMMSA. ZAMMSA, they were just given by the current Minister of Health the authority to start procuring the drugs according to what the Act, the ZAMMSA Act, provide for. Now, once they did that, instead of them doing the correct thing, they did a wrong thing in the way they issued the tenders. Instead of following the simple thing of citizen suppliers first, they didn't do that. Now today, the hospitals have no drugs. Why? Because the people or the bidders petitioned ZAMMSA and ZPPA on the way the tender was done. And in this situation, for me, I can call for disbandment of the ZPPA management for failure to follow their own act, and also the ZAMMSA management for failure to follow the law the way it's supposed to be done. If we are failing to caution, and if we are failing to fire technocrats who are failing to do things the way it's supposed to be done, then the country is in serious challenge. We need the Minister for Health to act accordingly, and we need the ZPPA, finance should be finance ZPPA, or if it's not finance, should be commerce. We need also the Minister of Finance or Commerce to act upon ZPPA management, so that we can have new people who are going to do or follow what the government talks about. And as you know very well, President Hakainde Hichilema has been on record trying by all means and stating to say in the procurement of anything in this country, first we are going to consider the citizens, those citizen-owned companies. No wonder when the president mentioned that, he said, can citizens form companies? Can citizens form cooperatives? Why did he say this? Because he understands what the ZPPA Act talks about. Citizen first, then you go to local. After local, then you go to international. Again, this international cannot do things alone, but they need to do things in collabo with the citizen-owned company so that the capacity is being built in the citizens. So this has been the message by the president. But the president said this on the other hand, the civil servants who are technocrats, who are supposed to implement what the government is talking about, then they are looking into the issues of getting money from these contracts. That's not the way it's supposed to be. That's not the way things are supposed to be done. And this is working against the government in terms of the way the president is pronouncing. And this is also showing insubordination or working against the president. If the president says, I want to empower the Zambians, what is supposed to be done by the civil servants who are there? They are supposed to make sure that to jump in their offices. After they jump in their offices, then they sit and say, how can we have the citizen now? How can we bring the citizen on the table and have them participate in this cake? Imagine the 400 million. Then you say this 400 million will be given all to citizens. Me as a director, if I were a director, I should be very much happy and glad, and I should be boasting to say, we had received 400 million from the treasury to give the citizen, and we told them we are buying these drugs on a cash basis. And we have given the tenders, those who have supplied, we have given them this money and we have given them this cash. No wonder we are now seeing that the dollar is stabilizing. Why is it that the dollar is stabilizing? We have more money in circulation through the citizen-owned company who supplied the drugs to the Zambia Medicine and Medical Supplies Agents. But what really happens to these guys, the answer to them is voila. It's an opportunity to see corruption. It's an opportunity to get the corrupt money. It is an opportunity to see that they go and sideline the citizen-owned company and do everything against the law. And what do? First, they start with the emergency order. When they do the emergency order, they go further to ask for no objection thing, meaning that everything, the way they do things, they do it smartly. You see, they don't do like they are not educated. They do things smartly. You need to be smart for you to know that they are doing a wrong thing here. And you need to read the road for you to understand. And you need to follow the current affairs of the country and how things have been moving. That's when you can know exactly to say that this is the way things are supposed to be done. And this is why they have done a wrong thing. If you can't do that, if you are just among the people who just do things where the chumera has gone, then you'll be having a big problem to notice where the problem is. And in this situation, the technocrats, they did something wrong and they erred in whatever which they did. They erred in whatever which they did and they wanted to hide. When I read some of the responses from when I heard some of the responses from the citizen-owned company, which ZAMMSA gave, I was very much shocked. It was like there were people fighting. It was like fighting, kind of. But that's not always supposed to be done. You see, when people petition your office, if you have an office, you petition me in my office. It is not for me to be in a defensive mode. No. For you to petition means that you have spotted something wrong that you have done. So in this situation, I need to sit down with my team and say, there's something wrong that we have done. Where have we gone wrong? Then we identify where we have gone wrong. And if truly those people who are there, what they have said, according to the way it's supposed to be done, it is supposed to be done in that way. If we find that, yes, they are right, we have no option, but we just need to humble ourselves and apologize and harmonize where we have gone wrong. Because the way it is, they have people, they should be counting themselves lucky that they have people like some of us who are able to spot out where the problem is. But because people never used to challenge them and never used to come out in the open to speak out on these matters, people are thinking like things were okay. If we didn't speak about the issues of honeybee, you would have not known about the honeybee. If we didn't speak about the issues of Ministry of Health not having a director for pharmaceutical services and causing problem, you, the people, would have not known about that. If we didn't speak out about the issues of this tender, you would have not known about the issues of this tender. But the issue which is there is, it's not about me wanting a job. No. I've said I don't want a job in government. Where I am, I'm very much okay. What I'm doing is very much okay. And some people think like what we want, we want to receive anything from anyone. No, the answer is no. The fact or the issue which is there is, from my first day at the University of Zambia to my last day at the University of Zambia, I was on 100% government sponsorship. In my first semester at the University of Zambia, I paid 91 kwacha. In my second semester, first year, I paid 91 kwacha. In my second year at the University of Zambia Ridgeway campus, I paid 91 kwacha. Second semester, I paid the same amount of money, which was 91 kwacha. Well, my other friends were paying huge amount of money. Why was I paying that amount of money? Because the people of Zambia, the poor people, the people you see selling tomatoes, the people you see standing on the sign selling salaula, they said, we have a child at the university by the name of Jerome Kanyika who need the school fees, and we need to go buy anything and we pay tax so that this child can be educated. And I was educated just like that. The highest amount of money which I paid, it was in my final fifth year, about 430 kwacha that I paid to the university, because all the money was paid by the poor people. So I have no any malice against anyone, but I'll stand by anything to defend the poor Zambian people, because I owe them. Without them, I would have not had my education that I had. Without the poor Zambians, without them saying, go, our son, go learn about pharmacy, so that you come and simplify and explain to us what is in the pharmaceutical industry and what is about these issues of drugs, I would have not done that. But they sacrifice everything. So the other thing that's supposed to be done for me now is to bring out these matters and explain in a very simple layman language so that people can understand. Because of these technocrats who are at ZAMMSA and ZPPA, today health facilities, they don't have the drugs. Why? Because they didn't do the correct thing that was supposed to be done. And more people need to be voicing out on these matters, not in a situation where people sit quiet. That's not the way it's supposed to be done. Pharmacists are supposed to be coming out strongly on the matters concerning the drugs. They tell and guide the members of the public. But because of corruption, because of integrity lacking in most of these people, they fail to come out and speak out on these matters that disadvantage the Zambian people. As this thing disadvantage the suppliers of the same drugs, the answer is no. This is disadvantaging the Zambian poor people who are going to the hospitals, not receiving the medication because the hospitals have no drugs, and the hospitals cannot get drugs from ZAMMSA because the people at ZAMMSA, they have done something stupid. They have done something selfish. So these are some of the issues that is pertaining the shortages of drugs in the hospital. The problem is not with the central government. The central government has done its part. The problem is with the technocrats to these institutions that's supposed to take care of this matter of supply of drugs. They are the one who's supposed to be blamed. Let's not blame the minister. Unless you want the minister to go against the law, then in few years you start calling her to say, how did this contract come? How did you give this? Why did you go against this? Which the minister, currently we have a very stable minister who's the Minister for Health. Very stable minister, very, very stable minister. And she understands and she respects every profession. So we need to speak out. And the last few minutes, let me just pick some questions, or let's see what you are saying. Let's engage. I'll pick some few of the questions over the issues. Okay. This one is saying, Mary Kingdom is asking why MOH has so many directors. We had a lot of directors at the Ministry of Health, but now there is restructuring that is currently happening at the Ministry of Health. And after the restructuring, we know very well that important directors are supposed to be there. We need to have a director for pharmaceutical services that need to be there. We need a director for nursing. We need a director for clinical care. We need a director for laboratory services. These four are supposed to be a must of the directors that we need. Then we can have other directors that people may feel. There. Okay, there is this also from Jerry. Too much blame game. You guys, why can't you just control the situation, or rather come out open if you have failed together with your masters? One thing that we need to know very well is the government has not, or the government have not failed, and the president have not failed. But the issue that we are talking about is the issue of civil servant not following the way things are supposed to be done. So let's not say the government has failed, no, or anyone has failed, but these are civil servants who have failed to learn the institution the way the institution is supposed to be done, who fails to read and follow the act the way it's supposed to be done. Okay, let them buy us some TB drugs. This rationing is very irritation for now. Mary is talking about the TB drugs not being there and the rationing. You see the issue, Mary, of everything, and the way the president has said that is going to rule the country on the rule of law, meaning that everything is supposed to be done according to what the law states. So in this situation, the institution that's supposed to be proactive in the way of making sure that the drugs are there, the institution is not being proactive. Why the institution is not being proactive? The people managing that institution are not competent enough to run that institution. So these are the challenges which we are going to have. TB drugs out of stock, malaria drugs out of stock, essential drugs out of stock, HIV drugs out of stock. All these things, you'll see them happening. Why you may see these things happening? Well, the government, on the other hand, is giving out money. They have given money to the institution. It is because of the incompetence of the people who are running this institution and not following and respecting the laws that have been put in place. Nancy is saying PF jokers always don't want the Zambian citizen to look back at all the illegalities the PF were involved in. Yeah, anyway, that's the situation with our former guys. So Mary again, she's asking to say the regulator takes over from ZAMMSA. One thing that you need to know, Mary, is ZAMRA is called Zambia Medicine Regulatory Authority, is the one that regulates the retail pharmacies, community pharmacies, the one that regulates the pharmaceutical wholesalers and the pharmaceutical manufacturing plants, and the one who have been given mandate to check if we have counterfeit drugs or don't have counterfeit drugs. Well, on the other hand, Zambia Medicine and Medical Supply Agents, formerly medical stores or ZAMMSA, is the one that has been given mandate to procure, distribute, store and distribute the drugs for the Zambian people. In this situation, these two are different entities. ZAMMSA, it is like a wholesale kind of on behalf of the government. So it has been given such a mandate by an act of parliament. So that's what is the main focus of ZAMMSA, to procure, store, and distribute the drugs. They don't have the mandate to dispense. That mandate of dispensing now remains with the Ministry of Health. So this is the difference between the two. Well, on the other hand, ZAMRA regulates. And ZAMRA can regulate also, not only can regulate, ZAMRA also regulates ZAMMSA, because ZAMMSA dealing with pharmaceutical products, they need to get a pharmaceutical license from ZAMRA. That's the way it's supposed to be done. That's the main difference. So you need to understand that. Hilda saying, please don't order counterfeit drugs from India and China. People deal with the UK and the medicine drugs. You see, it is very good, Hilda, that there is this question that you have posed. Actually, our procurement system does not support for quality, but it supports for quantity at the expense of quality. As you know very well, you should understand that provided you can quote to say you can provide Panadol at 1 kwacha, well, other people are saying we can only provide Panadol at 10 kwacha or 100 kwacha. You say I'm providing Panadol at 2 kwacha or 1 kwacha. You'll be picked as a supplier of this medication. Despite them questioning to say, how can this person supply Panadol at 1 kwacha? Well, the colleagues here are able to supply the same medication at 10 kwacha. The average pricing is like this. So they don't do that. No wonder you find that we find ourselves with a lot of counterfeit drugs on the market and in public institutions, because the way we have tailored our procurement is on the lowest bidder, which should not be the case. In terms of drugs, we should not be talking about the lowest bidder. We should be talking about the quality of the product that are coming to the country. Who's providing the quality? Why the same medication, some of these companies that we get drugs from cannot supply drugs to South Africa. They cannot supply drugs to Zimbabwe. They cannot supply drugs to Botswana, because these countries, they put the health of the people at that higher level as compared to the way we do put the health of the people. You cannot go for drugs to say we want the lowest bidder. That's not true. These are the things that are used to save the lives. You need drugs to get better. But if you can't do that by providing quality medication, then we are having a problem somewhere. So, King Solomon, you're saying the Minister for Health and the permanent secretary have failed. I think that's not true. Actually, for me, I can say the minister and our permanent secretaries are doing what is best for everyone. And they have tried and they are trying, just that they found a very sophisticated and complicated corrupt system that is so sophisticated in the way it is. If you are not careful, you may even find that you are even entangled without knowing that you are entangled in the corrupt activities. But the way things and the way people are doing, so far the means of health, they are trying by all means to do the correct thing. And the minister and the permanent secretaries, you will need all of us to support them. They are doing a very commendable job and very tough job because they found everything smelling corruption and corruption everywhere. If you have seen how much deals they have cancelled, if you have seen how much paperwork they have done in terms of correcting things, you may appreciate to say these people, they know what they are doing. And I can stand and defend the minister and our permanent secretaries. They are doing great job. A very big job, actually, and we need to appreciate the work these people are doing for this country. Christabel, may God bless you, our eye opener. No, thank you, Christabel. It is by the grace of God. Thank you for exposing this corrupt regime from the previous government. Yeah, we need to know very well that the current government, in terms of the Ministry of Health, we still remain with the same corrupt elements that were put in place by the previous administration. Nothing has been changed. Very few people in the previous administration were clean. Most of them were put in these positions because they are able to do sophisticated corruption so that they can pay the masters. That's how most of the people found themselves in this position as directors, acting directors, and all that in some of these parastatals. So we need to wait to see who will be the new directors by this administration and how they are going to perform. I'm here to speak out in the matters pertaining to the pharmaceutical industry, and I'll not anytime relent in my speaking out over these matters. Okay, I'm just speaking in the next 7 minutes. We'll be closing so that we can rest. We prepare for tomorrow. There is a question here from Chara Venemas. Why is the government health facilities charged for consultation? How come government health workers always have medicine in their drug stores? But in hospitals there are no drugs. To start with, I don't know any government workers that have the drugs or that runs the drug stores. If those government workers, they are government workers who run drug stores, there is no issue about that. You need to report them to the Ministry of Health, then they'll be looked into that, because that is totally wrong and that is unacceptable, because someone is conflicted in the way they are executing their duty. Instead of working for the members of the public, but they are failing. Instead of concentrating on the job that they have been given by the people of Zambia, but they are not doing that. They concentrate in the private job, which should not be the case at all. This also reminds me of another opposition political leader, I think should be NAREP, not NAREP, Heritage, New Heritage Party, President Kateka, who mentioned that the people working in the hospitals having drugs in their pharmacies, or they are saying that doctor, how come doctors know that these pharmacies they have drugs, these they don't have drugs? I think that's not very true. Wherever you go, you can be directed to say you can go buy or find this medicine in this place, or you can get anywhere else, just easy. The patients, they do ask, where can I find this medicine? Some they'll say, you find at this place, or you'll find it at the other place or any other pharmacy. The decision of you buying the drug, it depends again on you. A doctor may tell you to say, you can find this drug in this place. If you don't want, you cannot buy from that place. You can go buy from the place you feel you want, because you are the one with a prescription. So in terms of saying that, how come they know? I think let's not talk about that. That's been shallow. Actually, that's been shallow-minded when we start thinking in that way. What we need to do, we need to probe these things that are coming out, to say, how come this institution that's supposed to mandate, or that is mandated to have these drugs, are not having the medication, and they have done these wrong things? That's what I'm supposed to do. So, say no wonder pharmacies were being bypassed and giving the doctors that job. Shame on them. Yeah, the issue of integrity is something that's supposed to be done, actually. For example, you see the shortages of drugs in the hospitals, and this thing that I've explained to you today. I was expecting the profession body for pharmacists, which is the Pharmaceutical Society of Zambia, to be more proactive and more active in terms of them talking about the matters concerning these issues of drugs. But they are also highly compromised, because there are some beneficiaries of some of these medications shortages in the hospitals, because most of them in their executive, they are members of their businesses are under NEMA. So when the hospitals have shortages of drugs, to them it's small business. That should not be the case. So in this situation, they cannot speak out on your behalf, and that's where highly compromise in terms of the profession body. They are not supposed to be in that situation, because they are supposed to stand for the poor people and speak on behalf of the profession, to say these people working in government are finding work to be difficult due to shortages of this medication, and these shortages are being made by the incompetence that is happening at ZAMMSA. They are supposed to come out very strongly on this matter, but since even them are highly compromised, they cannot come out, because they are part and parcel of the compromise that is there. Have you alerted the minister? Yes, she is very much aware about what is happening. You see, one thing, Nancy, what you need to know is currently we have a very sharp Minister of Health who understands everything, but people may underestimate her. You underestimate the current Minister of Health at your own peril. She's very smart and very fast learner, and she knows all the corrupt activity that's happening, but she may look like she doesn't know, but she knows. And she engages everyone, and she appreciates the feedback of the people. That's the kind of a minister that we have. She's charismatic, if you don't know that. She's a minister who understands and who will call everyone, and they'll sit on a round table and you can discuss. That's the kind of a minister we currently have. And with our team of permanent secretaries, you'll discover that she's very, very much on top of things. but she doesn't want to put her hand in there. Let the institution that is doing that wrong thing do the right thing before she does that. As you know very well, our office is too big. So ZAMMSA supposed to do the correct thing before she moves in. Because if she moves in, there will be serious problems at ZAMMSA. Mr. Now, very much okay. Okay, so these guys, I think I've explained, I've done the explanations, and then I've answered all the questions that is supposed to be done, and I've chatted with all the members here. The issue now is who dissolves ZAMMSA, or who can they be the shuffles, or who can make the shuffles. That is either Mutambula Lungu. Unfortunately, either the issue of ZAMMSA to be dissolved, it can be done by the board, not even the minister. In terms of management, it can be done by the board. So what is needed is to institute the board. Once the board is constituted, then the board can take action on management and changes in terms of management. Without that, then it will be very difficult to do anything. The law says it's the board that supersedes, or that looks at the works of that institution. Then the minister looks at the works of the board. So the way it is, the director general reports to the board chairperson or to the board. Then the board chairperson reports to the minister. That's the way it is. The director general for ZAMMSA does not report to the minister. No. But in the absence of the board, so currently the director general for ZAMMSA is reporting to the minister direct, because now the minister, she's acting like the board. That's the way it is. The minister now, she's acting like the board. So immediately the board is constituted, then the director will stop reporting to the minister, but the director will be reporting to the board. Then the board, they can make changes at ZAMMSA. So this is where now we need to have proper upright people to be sitting in the board. I wish I can sit in the board, but unfortunately I cannot sit. I don't want to be entangled in these matters, but I want to continue speaking on behalf of the Zambian people and on behalf of the poor Zambian people. No wonder I distance myself in having a government job, and I distance myself in having a board position, because I know how wrong things are in the pharmaceutical industry. And I want to continue speaking out concerning matters that are affecting the pharmaceutical industry until we put the pharmaceutical industry where it's supposed to be. Currently, the Zambian government and the Zambian people are not benefiting from the pharmaceutical industry. And this situation, if we continue sitting and watching, will continue not benefiting at all as a country. So we continue, some of us who are strong or brave enough to speak out, to continue speaking out. It is our nature. We can't hold our mouths. We continue speaking out. So I think that's I think that's where we can end it today. So when you say about the shortages of drugs, please Don't say it is the central government. No, it is ZAMMSA. So the journalists, my colleagues who are journalists, go follow up these matters with ZAMMSA. Ask them, question them, let them explain. In that way, it will be very good. We help out the government than rushing out to say the government has failed to provide drugs in hospitals. No, the government has provided the money to procure drugs. Let the people do the things they are supposed to do. Thank you for your time and enjoy your evening. I'll end here.